And we're live. What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny. Hope you guys have a good weekend. The good weekend. Hope you guys had a good week. I don't know where to start. Right now, this whole topic of this whole live stream / podcast is the disdain for American priorities. It seems like our leadership class, they hold it against us that we want things for ourselves, right? We want to secure our borders. We want the interests of our citizens to be put first and in front of others. And a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people in our leadership class just don't like that fact. Jonathan Field says, hi, hey Kenny, hope you are well. Yes, I am. Busy week for me this week, but I'll be okay. So, as usual, I'm gonna start off with some cultural stuff. I think that's been a good lead up into some of the more hard hitting political stuff. So just give me a sec to, make some adjustments here, make sure I'm good. And first kind of segment that I want to get into is this is a viral video that came out of a Gen Z woman complaining about how she can't manage, that she doesn't have energy, time, or money to enjoy her life outside of work. And I want to play a little bit of the video. And as usual, I'll give my commentary throughout. So let's take a quick look, and you hear my thoughts and commentary at the end.
Why is it that I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live? 40 hours a week makes me $2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660. So I work 40 hours a week so I can have a 2-bedroom apartment and an extra $300 a month. Like, it doesn't cover my phone, internet, food,
So first problem that she has is that her expenses are too high for her income, right? And one of the problems that I have in our current culture, right? A lot of millennials and Gen Z say they don't have enough money, but if you look at our budget, like if you compare a budget of a baby boomer our age, like when baby boomers were 27 years old, 26 years old, 25 in their 20s, if you look at their expense and you see how much money they spend on luxuries, I will bet you millennials and Gen Z spends way more money on luxuries than baby boomers ever did, because we are the product of our time. We have so much luxury, so much technologies. I bet you she eats out a lot. And I don't know if she lives by herself. Like we can't get enough information from what she said on the opening of this video. But 2-bedroom apartment for someone that's living by themselves, of course it's expensive. To me, it seems like she has a spending problem instead of an income problem, right? And this is another thing that I think American culture, and this is a result of bad ideas, and I think this is going to be one of the themes of this podcast episode, is that we follow a lot of advice and we see the results. The results are in on these ideas. And we don't want to change because it's not fun to be disciplined. It's not fun to budget ourselves and limit ourselves to what we make, right? We always complain that the federal government has a spending problem. It's honestly, look, the government is kind of the extension of the common American voter, the common American man, citizen, whatever. That they're spending way outside our means, but look at this girl. She's spending way outside her means. Almost 90, 80, 85% of her income gone in a single month because she wants a luxury, aka living by herself. And before I just want to make this one more point, and then we'll get back into the video. One point I also want to make is that I recently did an article. I didn't recently did an article, but if you look into my archives of videos and you search on my channel, there's a video where I made there was an article that came out that being single will be eventually considered a luxury. Yes, being single will eventually be a luxury because it's becoming increasingly, the bar to live by yourself is increasingly higher and higher, especially with Biden inflation, right? Especially with Biden's inflationary policies and the results of his negative spending, which you're going to get into in this podcast episode as well, because remember, this is the consequences and the results of bad ideas. And I think women today are suffering the bad ideas of feminism in the past, right? They were pushing, I'm gonna be strong and independent. I want a career. I want this. And now this is the norm. Now the women of today, the Gen Z women, are not complaining about the results of that. Oh, why do I have to work so hard? Well, this is what it takes to be an adult, a single adult in America today. I think the threshold to live by yourself, you have to make at least 80, almost to be comfortable, I guess. The stats are like $70,000 to $80,000 a year to live comfortably by yourself without living paycheck to paycheck. Most Americans making six figures, like 48% of people making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's not necessarily, I think it's like a chicken and an egg problem. I think we spend too much money as a culture because we're caught up in consumerism, right? And this is one of the negative aspects of having something not beyond economic success, because we evaluate everything by economic success. This is why we got a bunch of millennials, a bunch of Gen Z people complaining about how they feel like they're entitled to a good paying job, when throughout all human history, it's been the norm. You come in as an apprentice, you come in as a grunt, you learn all the hard work, but eventually you rise up the ranks as you get more proficient and more skilled in your craft. Then you can demand more money. But we have the opposite view. Hey, I don't have any of the skills, but I want the highest pay. I don't think this is how like real life works. Jonathan Field says, Kenny, I agree, but disagree with you. It's fine. We all can agree and disagree. But I want to continue with the video.
So not only do I not have any extra money, but just working makes me so exhausted that I don't have time either. Like, I get off work at 5:30, come home, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired that, like, anything that I need to do outside of work, I then just push off to, like, the weekend. And I'm like, I'm just too tired to do this after work. I'll wait until Saturday. So then I end up with so much to do on the weekend that ends up having to be split into 2 days. So I have to do stuff on both Saturday and Sunday. So then I don't get a day off. I don't get a day to relax. I don't get to decompress. So it is really...
So Jonathan Field says he wants to explain. He says that he agreed that we do, Gen X and, my generation and his generation spend a lot of money on stupid things. But he also wants to, I do agree that Biden in office increased inflation and so much more. Yes, I agree that our wages, we're about to be in a recession in my view. And Biden's not helping the situation, right? But I'm just saying, what's in your control right now? Because at the end of the day, sitting here waiting for legislation to pass, that's a longer, that's dependent on factors that's outside of your control. All I'm trying to point into is on the individuals. What can you as an individual do to make it less hard on yourself is what I'm trying to, I think, go with my critique here. And one of the things that I focus on is that, hey, maybe she could have made a different decision. Instead of living in a 2-bedroom house, maybe a studio apartment, maybe move in with some roommates, right? There's some actionable steps that she can do without having to rely on the government or waiting for the government to do something, because then you're dependent on an external factor that you have absolutely no control over or limited control over. I think that's where most of my critique is at. It's not necessarily that I'm blaming Gen Z, Gen X. I'm saying that there's a lot of things within our control that kind of helps either make the problem worse or make the problem more tolerable. And I think controlling your spending is the best chance you have at actually mitigating some of the problems that Biden's bad policies of increased inflation has caused on the economy. Now, she's complaining about how people manage to work full-time outside of a full-time job. And one of the problems I have with our culture too is that since the fact that we don't really study history, it's hard to put our current lifestyle in perspective compared to people in the past, right? Like, let's go all the way back to like when we were farmers. You used to work 7 days a week, 24/7. Like, you had to go milk the cows, take care of the crops, pillage the yard, cut the trees down. Every day we were working every day. And now, we compared to the amount of exertion we do now compared to back then, we have it way easier. And I think is the lack of looking at our history is what's pushing this ideal of entitlement where people feel like they shouldn't need to do anything to have anything. It's equivalent excuse me, it's equivalent exchange. You have to get something, you have to give something. Only socialists and communists expect everyone else to work for their own benefit, and they get to sit around, do arts, sleep in all day. If everyone decided, like, my problem, like, this is a one way of like validating an idea I have, is if everyone did the same thing that you wanted to do, what will happen to society? If everyone only wanted to work 2 days a week, what will happen to society? We won't have as much innovation as we have. You won't get a new iPhone every year. You'll probably get an iPhone every 10 years based on the rate of productivity that we're pushing. And I think this all stems from the idea of, I don't know where this idea of entitlement comes from, but I literally believe it's due to academia and the coddling of the American youth. And I believe I'm a millennial. I got exposed to the coddling too. They don't want you to work. They don't want you to do anything. Right now, Republicans try to loosen some child labor laws, and everyone on the left is freaking out because they think kids shouldn't work. Kids shouldn't even lift a finger. And I made the argument, okay, so kids do any chores then? If you don't want kids to work. And this is infantilization of children, youth, and I think this is what is kind of culturally set a lot of millennials and Gen Z back, because we weren't trained and prepared for adulthood. We kind of just got thrown into adulthood. From 0 to 18 years old, no one wanted us to do anything of serious responsibility. And then they just, okay, you're 18. Now, figure your life out. Huh? This is the first time for the first 18 years of my life, all I did was listen to people of authority. Now you want me to make my own decisions? And now you see why a lot of Gen Z, especially these Gen Z women, are liberal, socialist, progressives, why they listen to people of authority, right? And schooling doesn't help too, because schooling makes school is made to make people employees. Schools essentially taught you how to be followers, how to take orders, not to think for yourself, not to come up with your own ideas, goals, and directions. It's like, here's a beaten path, and you must follow it. And I think this is the kind of the results of all that conditioning, the social engineering, the culture that feminist women are raised in, and now is like conflicting with their own mental health. And I talk about this numerous of times on my channel, and I'll end it off here and get back to the video. Is that liberal women are the least happiest women on, I want to say the earth, but in America at least. And a lot of the things they push, imagine if someone's the least happiest person in the world, in America, and they're pushing these ideas. Oh, feminism is good. You should focus on your career, not a family. Oh, marriage can wait. You are it's like a trainer who said, hey, I can get you fit, but they're fat as hell. If you know the sauce, you know all the secrets of being healthy and in shape, why you didn't apply it to yourself first? You are the embodiment of your values and decision makings. And if liberal women are they're pushing back against conservatives, saying, oh, feminism is not bad, you guys are exaggerating, you guys are misogynist, you guys like toxic masculinity, they push back against all this stuff, but then the stats come out, then the results come out, and they're the least happiest people in the world. Why should we take anything they say from a societal point of view seriously? At least whatever they open their mouth, we should look at it with a side of skepticism. What's your proof for that? Because based on the results, y'all not happy people. Y'all miserable people. Y'all less satisfied with your mental health. You guys go to mental health more, especially liberal women. You guys got a lot of problems, but y'all sitting here trying to push solutions. Y'all going on TikToks talking about how you giving advice to young men of how they should date women, but you're the least happiest person in the world. You're part of a group that's tend to be the least happiest people in the world. Make it make sense. And you see it right here. This is kind of an example of that. But I digress. I've rambled a little bit too long. Let me get back into the video.
Really like working 7 days a week, constantly. And I don't want to do that anymore, right? Like, I don't care how poor and miserable I would have to be, but I literally can't have a place to live without this, you know? Like, I don't know what to do. I'm not made for this. I don't have the money, time, or energy to enjoy my life outside of work.
It's like conditioning too, because if to me, I don't know. I grew up with immigrant parents, so they make sure they if they saw you like lazy, like you couldn't just lazily sit down in your bed and do nothing. Like my mom always like, oh, go do something, go clean your room, clean the house, go do something at the yard, go read a book. And I'm not saying it was bad upbringing or anything. I'm just saying that kind of conditioned me to strive to be productive. Hey, man don't work, man don't eat. Be productive. Even on your days, even on my days off, I find some way to be productive. Either hang out with my family, we go out, we walk. Maybe I'll find something to read a little bit. And it's like conditioning a muscle, right? Like when you work out for the first time, it's hard to really work out. But once you get used to it, it's like, oh, you can work out every day and you won't feel as sore because your body built up a resistance to it. And I think that's the same thing with productivity. And I think this is the negatives of infantilizing children, not placing any responsibility or expectation on children, that to the point where now when they have to be responsible, they're crumbling all over the pressure. They can't cope with the stress of their entire livelihood depending on them going to work. Hey.
And I don't know what to do about it anymore. I'm so tired. Why is...
So you hear that, sad world we live in. Is a cruel world we live in. But that's the life choices that feminists put forth for you guys. And life is about trade-offs, right? It seemed like a lot of women, and I've been noticing this, especially with latest trends. Michael Knowles went on whatever, Charlie Kirk went on whatever, and a lot of these tendencies I'm noticing in modern dating and modern culture is this idea that people want the best of both worlds. Women want the ability to, like a light switch, turn on. Okay, I want to be a traditional woman now. Okay, in this situation, I don't want to be a traditional woman anymore. Let me turn off the light switch. Let me be back to a modern woman. People want to pick and choose, but life don't work like that. It's either you're alive or you're dead. Life is very binary. And to be consistent, you have to pick one. And it's like women or our culture, a lot of people at my age and Gen Z, we don't want to accept trade-offs, but that's what life is all about. Life is about trade-offs. And I think the more we prepare, and in our culture, as we prepare our kids to deal with trade-offs, hey, there's no such thing as a perfect solution. Every solution you pick is a trade-off. Which one you prefer the most? Like which negative do you prefer the most? That's what life is all about. And in a conservative, empirical, religious, moral, principled society, they teach you that. They teach you that reality. Hey, pick your struggle. That's what life is about. Pick your struggle, because it takes the same it takes the same struggle to be both. It's a struggle to be poor, and then it's the same struggle to be rich. It's just a different type of struggle. Rich person, you might have to work hard every day. Poor person, you have to work every day just to make ends meet. Like the struggle's the same, right? It's just where you channel your energy at. And I think the faster that America can realize trade-offs, like Democrats can't just give you everything for free. You got to realize there's a trade-off there. Oh, my tax is going to increase. Oh, they're spending so much government money that we don't have that's increasing inflation and it's hurting us in the long term. We need to stop doing that. Maybe we need to rein in spending. Maybe we do need to vote in politicians that's going to limit federal spending to the budget. We need to pay off our federal debt. These are like responsible things, but those things are not fun. Those are not exciting things. It's boring and predictable. And it seems like people have a problem with boring and predictable. But boring and predictable is what gets you the good results. Going to the gym every day, regardless of whether you feel like it or not, gets you the results. But not the fancy smancy, oh, I can get you a six-pack in 3 months. Okay, everyone wants the quick hit. And that's what the Democratic Party kind of represents, the quick hit. Oh, we can do all this. Okay, let's go. And they only treat the symptoms of a problem, and then Long term, it makes everything worse. But, I digress. I'm done rambling a little bit. So in this next clip, I want to kind of highlight Dr. Drew credits RFJ Jr. for a large part of his personal awakening. I am open to everything now. I have never realized that everything in news is BS. Everything. There is nothing I can consume on legacy media that I can trust. That is shocking. That is shocking. It makes you wonder how long it's been going on. I didn't realize how much speech was being suppressed. So I don't know who this guy. I forgot the course of this video. Dr. Drew, and he's gonna go he's gonna speak with Dave Rubin, and they're gonna talk about censorship and out of sight, out of mind. It's a lot of people, because this is what the legacy media took for granted: the ability to disseminate and craft information for the masses. Now they lost that ability. Now they're trying to gatekeep using YouTube, using these social media websites, trying to claim themselves as some authoritative sources when they get things as wrong as a guy like me behind this camera. Like, it's so ridiculous that they try to pretend that they're like a different tier of media compared to social media commentators like me. And it's like, just on the results is ridiculous. And I think the faster society as a whole gets away from credentialism, the better we'll be. Because I want a society, and I think America will be a better society if we judge things on the results, not on someone's credentials. Because remember, this stream is about the results of bad ideas. And I think it's a bad idea to take someone's word for something just because they have credentials in that field, rather than take the results of what they say. Hey, what's your stats? What's your proof for this? And we should judge the results, not the credential. And I think for too long, a lot of legacy media has been hiding behind their credentials. I'm CNN. I'm a news person at CNN, Fox News. I got a journalism degree. Okay, but if I'm talking and you're talking, and I'm pointing out things that I'm seeing, and so you pointing out things that you think don't happen, who should you trust as the audience, as the evaluators? To someone who can actually prove with concrete evidence, concrete examples of what they're explaining about. But just because the other person has the credentials, you're supposed to disprove all the evidence and all the things that I point out? As a society, I believe you should side with someone who can show you the results and the reality of something, rather than fluffy words and a college Ivy League degree. But I digress. Let's get into this video.
Because of the COVID craziness. Because when I had you on last time in studio, it was still in LA, so it's about over 2.5 years ago. You were still sort of saying some nice things about Fauci, and I know you guys have a history. I sense you've shifted a bit on that, or at least you're amenable to some other ideas.
I am open to everything now. I'm open to things that I never thought I would have been open to, and I really think that the door fully came open. I've realized that everything in the news is BS. Everything. There is nothing that I can consume on any legacy media that I can trust. And that is shocking, and that's disturbing. And it makes you wonder how long it's been going on for. And I'm concerned it might have been a very long time.
Yeah. Was there a straw that broke the camel's back on that specifically?
Yes. Yeah. I was going to tell you that my interview with my first interview with RFK Jr., he was so reasonable and so smart and so many interesting ideas, and enlightened me to this cozy relationship between the regulators and the pharma companies, which I really wasn't aware of. I mean,
yeah, and even in advertisement, right? And this is one of the, I guess, best things that happened in 2023 and 2024 is actually Trump kind of started this train in 2016 when he called, the iconic "you're fake news." Since he dropped that line, everyone started looking and like, hey, it's funny how the human mind works, right? You can go so long, so many years without realizing something is funny, weird. But since it's so normal, like it's so habitual that you don't notice until someone points it out. Hey, look, there's a big blue elephant over there. Huh? Wow, was it always there? Now, and then boom, it's like a domino effect. You start recognizing it everywhere. Hey, this has a weird framing to it. Hey, this guy was supposedly anti-science, whatever, but he's pointing out evidence that actually exists after I did my own research. Hey, these news outlets like the Washington Post, Slate Magazine are saying that if you do your own research, you can fall into misinformation. What does that mean? You see how they try to label you? You see how they try to label things? They try to tell you, no, we're the authority. Trust us. And I'm saying, no. If you're going to be a populist, you got to be a populist all the way. You got to trust your individual judgment, next your community, then you start, you trust certain people, because knowledge is something that I think we take too much for granted, that people's ability to feed us bad information. And I think that's one of the most important things that 2024 is going to show us, is that how valuable is, can we distribute knowledge to the masses? Because that's what decides election, essentially. If the mainstream media has the most reach and they can filter out, hey, we don't want them to know anything about this Biden laptop. Boom, you saw the results of that. And and we all know this, we saw polls that show that if people were aware of the laptop story, they would not have voted for Biden. That's a big finding there. So what's the solution? We have to be as big as the mainstream media. We have to have as much influence on the masses as mainstream media. And based on pure research studies that I've seen, social media is the future. Millennials and Gen Z, we get most of our news on here, social media. So they're losing control. Right now, they're still relevant because, baby boomers, Gen X, they still consume a large amount of their news from cable news. But we're in a transitional period right now. And I think that for the future generations, we have to understand how knowledge gets distributed and spread out through the masses, right? And I think I forgot the stages of how knowledge gets spread, but essentially there's the originator, the person who discovers the knowledge. Then you have the popularizer, you have the disseminator. He disseminates the knowledge. Evaluators, they judge the knowledge. And then the popularizers, the people who bring attention, right? Influencers like me, we bring attention to the news or to the findings. And this is how knowledge gets spread out. This is how people get assumptions about things. The earth is round. That's how knowledge gets spread out. So where media stands into this, media are not the disseminators, because anyone can disseminate information. They're the popularizers. They're the one who spread the information around. Like climate change, for instance. There's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of stuff, counter evidence against a lot of climate change stuff. But do you ever hear it? No, you don't. Unless you go to one of my channels or you look at one of my inconvenient truths that I did on climate change and how fossil fuels are responsible for 80% of our energy, and that green energy, electric, solar panel, wind power stuff has been around for decades, like 2 decades, and they only can cover 5% of the energy requirements that the world needs to survive currently. That means green energy, wind and solar energy are inadequate replacements or energy alternatives to replace fossil fuels. That means as everything stands right now, wind and solar are ineffective at actually replacing fossil fuels. So if we try to replace fossil fuels right now, we're going to hit a energy shortage. That's the reality. But do mainstream media talk about this? Do mainstream media debate this at mass? No, they don't. Because what? They're propagandists. They want to craft a narrative. I rambled enough. Let's get back into the video.
I can't let a pharma company representative into my office to give me a pen with a drug name on it, and yet those guys are living together and cross-pollinating jobs. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. Yeah. So, and that he had a very sensible, didn't necessarily fully agree with it, but a sensible idea about vaccine research that he would like to push forward. Not that vaccines are bad. His family's all vaccinated. My family's all vaccinated. And at the end of that interview,
YouTube, do not ban my video, all right? They're asking questions about vaccine science. Because last time I played a video and they talked about vaccine science, my video got taken down. So just clarification, YouTube.
He said something to me. I've met him now many times since then. He goes, oh my God, Drew, you are so courageous to talk to me. And I thought, it blew me back in my chair. I thought, I need courage to have a conversation with an adult in a public setting. And he was right. This is a time where I didn't realize how much speech was being suppressed, how much was being manipulated, how much. Then what happened after that was the Twitter files, and they started seeing what's going on.
Yep.
And it's just been to me this is all reprehensible. And what has happened as a result, I don't think I've shifted my political views. I've just really I never imagined I'd be in this point in my life at this age and place in my career, freedom and freedom fighting and the courage to stand up for it have been the most important thing in my life right now. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is great. I live in the United States of America and I have to worry about freedoms.
Yeah, because what a president used to say, Ronald Reagan, you're one generation away from losing freedom, and it's up to every generation after to maintain and protect freedom, so it can be passed down to the next generation. And this is one of the things I think as Americans we forgot, and this doesn't get passed down in our culture because majority of kids are educated in public school. Public school is a problem. Government schools are a problem because government schools are heavily controlled by the bureaucracy, by the establishment, by the deep state. These bureaucracies are ran by what? Democrats. A lot of them are registered Democrats. They create all these systems to filter out alternative viewpoints, alternative ideologues, so that way they run all these institutions. There's a book, not a Communist Manifesto, but there's a book I always reference. It's called The Naked Communist. And it talks about how communists, they love going and taking over institutions, right? They creep into these positions of authority and power, and then they leverage those positions of authority and power to enforce their ideological views on other people. And this is how we got the situation we are living currently in today. So on the next topic, we're halfway through the stream, and I'm gonna kind of speed through this because I'm pretty sure everyone knows what the hell happened. So breaking four of the illegal migrants who assaulted the NYPD officers near Times Square may be on the run to California, according to New York Post. Maybe letting them out without bail wasn't a good idea. Cops believe the group hobbled on a bus bound for California on Wednesday after giving phony names to a church-affiliated nonprofit group that helped migrants get rides out of the city, the report's called. So these dudes, look at the disrespect. Look at the contempt these people have. Like, this is who Biden want us to have sympathy for. Like these guys.
Just into Fox News now. NYPD
sticking the middle finger, right? That shows this is the level of respect that people have for our country, right? Oh, this is what happens when you let people see. This is what I'm saying. The border issue is a very touchy one for me because it seems like the world, these globalists, they expect Americans to just take it laying down. We're doormats to you guys. This is how people will treat a doormat. Oh, you ain't gonna do nothing to me. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. And now they heard New York might deport their ass, and they ran straight to another sanctuary city. California, hey, look, y'all thought y'all had crime problems now? Shoot. Let's continue.
2 more arrests, illegal immigrants, and that attack on officers.
And the funny part I like about this story too is that when it initially came out, a lot of Democrats and liberals, I forgot his name, Ed Kaczynski, I'm always beefing with him by myself. They were trying to, how you guys know these were illegal immigrants? And even if they were illegal immigrants, American citizens do this too. Yeah, but it seems like American citizens, they get held accountable for certain actions. And this is another thing too that I'm gonna touch upon too is in America, do we have a 2-tier system? Right? Because it seems like we do. And this speaks to the kind of the decline of our culture, of our country, of our institutions. That people can't debate. Like, you can't believe in law and order. You can't believe in accountability anymore. Because if you believe in accountability, some people make bad decisions more than other people. And if there's a disparity anywhere, it's immediately written off as racism. Liberals' favorite talking point.
Those suspects also allegedly stole an officer's cell phone.
Wow.
Well, that'll help them track you down. So a 5th illegal immigrant accused of attacking 2 New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret. Just into Fox News.
Deport them. Hey, look, I'm pissed now. Deport them. I don't want them here anymore. Hey, this is how you're going to... Imagine. This. You know why I'm mad? Imagine these dudes came in your house, wreck your house, and you told them, hey, you got to pay for this. And they stick the bird in your face. Oh, we fighting. We fighting. This is some craziness. Remember this image. Not only is this how many of the millions of Biden-era illegals feel about America, it's how the U.S. government feels about you. If you were born and raised here, if your children and grandchildren were born here, if you pay taxes and follow the rules, they're flipping the bird right in your face because they feel like they're untouchable. They waking up now. Look, they waking up. Black Boston residents rage in red pill moment on live TV because they're getting pushed to the side. 150 House Democrats vote against a bill for deporting non-citizens convicted of DEI. Wow. Look. This is America Last. This is what America Last look like, right? And then these same Democrats who are in the bed for global interest, when the Republicans want to hold the border guy, the Secretary of Security, I forgot his name, Mayorkas, accountable, they quick to say it's just political. Let's listen to a little clip while I take a little break.
Congress has the responsibility to hold the executive branch accountable when they fail to uphold their oath of office, abuse their authority, and or are dishonest with the American people. This is essential in a constitutional republic built on and separation of powers. In its 2023 ruling in United States versus Texas, the Supreme Court left the House of Representatives with little choice but to pursue impeachment articles against Secretary Mayorkas.
And I agree with this. Like, there needs to be accountability, right? Because at the end of the day, this is the only thing that people kind of respect, consequences. The legal immigrants only respect consequences. It's human nature, right? You can give people so many chances, right? Right? You can let a kid break the law so many times, right? But eventually you have to lay the hammer down. You got to make them pay a price. Hey, you do this is what's going to happen to you. And then they'll think twice about it. If I do it, I'm going to go to jail. If I do it, they might hit me. If I do it, I'm going to suffer some pain. And that's what needs to happen. And honestly, this they need to be able to impeach this guy. And maybe it's frivolous. Maybe it won't actually go anywhere. But the attempt, you have to attempt it. Because we're done with this one-way aggression. You allowing all these people to come in, and then the court ruled in your favor, and now go and try to cut the wire out of Texas. I mean, I digress.
5-4 majority did not address the Secretary's policies and mandates on the merits, but simply ruled the states did not have the standing to challenge them. Instead, the justices wrote that Congress has political tools available to push back on these policies. The only one that makes sense in the current political environment is impeachment. Remember, Democrats have completely rejected H.R. 2, our strongest security bill for our...
I've been talking about that too, the Secure the Border Act, that it will fix a lot of the incentives that's currently being made right now that's driving a lot of illegal activity at our border right now. The Secure the Border Act, one of the things it'll do is deny asylum status to anyone if you pass another country to get to the U.S. That means if you went from Honduras and you passed Mexico to get to the U.S., you don't qualify for asylum. You can't show up illegally and say, "Oh, I want asylum." Asylum. Oh, where you from? I moved from Mexico. No, where's your documentation? You gotta stay in Mexico. Then it instantly denies the ability to get asylum status if you pass another country before you got to the U.S. That means you can't. The only way you can go from your country straight to the U.S. is what? Legally. It will embolden the border patrol officers and give them more time, more flexibility to actually guard our borders, instead of wasting their time becoming administrative assistants to processing immigrants, because they're not allowed to send them back. Because the minute they say the magic words, we're supposed to let them in like a hotel. This is I think if Trump messaged properly on the border, he should win in a landslide. He should. But hey, who knows how the media is going to react, how they're going to spin things, how they're going to filter out or omit some information, how they're going to frame it. And this is in my view, this is my way of protesting that. But I digress. Let's continue with the video.
Our border. Secretary Mayorkas' actions and decisions clearly meet the standard necessary for initiating impeachment proceedings.
Dereliction of duty.
This historical evidence is overwhelming that the founding fathers intended impeachment to be used to deal with the commission of indictable crimes and the abuse of power, corruption, and injury to the nation caused by public officials, among others. At the Constitutional Convention, the framers purposely devised the impeachment power to include any offenses against the nation's security committed by high officials. Stephen Bradbury, former principal deputy and acting assistant attorney general for the Office of Legal Counsel at the Department of Justice, there is a settled understanding beyond dispute that impeachable offenses include both prosecutable crimes and all manner of gross misconduct in office that does serious harm to the U.S. political system or the U.S. constitutional order.
Let's stop right there. The order, law. What is our law? You can't come here illegally. You break the law. You broke the law. Why? Because the Democrats have these sanctuary cities where they don't comply with the with federal law. They don't have to. Right? They create their own little laws in their state where they incentivize illegals to come in. They're a drain on the system. Ask New York. They got to spend another $12 billion. They're negative $12 billion, so they had to remove funding from other departments to make up the shortfall because they ain't taking in illegals. That's pressure on our social system. California is passing laws where they'll allow illegal immigrants, illegal migrants that come into California to be able to get Medicare, something that they didn't pay into, but they get it for free. For the illegal migrants that's come here, America's a socialist country, but at our expense. We're essentially working like slaves for the political class so they can bribe illegals to come over here. So that way they can stay in political power because they know these illegals, their kids and their descendants will vote Democrat. Because the Democrats will be like, hey, we're the reason why you're here. Don't forget me in November. Don't tell your kids about me. That's essentially what we're doing. Taxpayer money is being used to bribe outsiders on the border to instill Democratic loyalty into them. This is the playbook. If you look up any research, any video exposing the Democrats' reasoning for wanting open borders, because in 1995 they were the party of the labor union, and they knew mass migration hurts wages. It increases the supply, which weakens the demand on workers. Workers get lower pay, and then people in the left always complain about stagnant wages. Well, look at the surplus of people that's in this country. Look at all the illegal immigrants that get taken advantage of because they're here. They're not documented. So businesses take advantage of them. Local, hell, corporate sometimes pay them under the table. They don't even pay any taxes off that money. And then they get to reap the benefits of the social program. At whose expense? At the American people's expense. And then these same people will try to gaslight you and me into accepting this nonsense. No, you're not going to gaslight us to give away all our stuff and then leave nothing for us and our children. This is a dereliction of duty from Mayorkas, and I hope he gets what's coming to him. But I think I'm done with this because I want to be on time. So, Fani Willis, I want to talk about the two-tier justice system that we got going on right now. Fani Willis admits that she had a relationship with her prosecutor in the Trump trials. Trump responds. She's getting out of there, bro. Hey, this trial should be done. Jim Jordan subpoenaed Fulton County DA Fani Willis following the whistleblower's allegation. Wow. Judge ruling the divorce case could spell bad news for the anti-Trump DA Fani Willis. How the chickens have come home to roost, right? Phyllis went in on Friday that she had a personal relationship with the man she hired as the special prosecutor in the criminal election case against former President Donald Trump. Wade paid Willis to accompany him at least 2 trips in 2022 and 2023 after Willis had already hired him to oversee her RICO case against Trump. Court's filing said, caught in 4K. Willis claimed in a 176-page court filing that any personal relationship among members of prosecution team does not amount to a disqualifying conflict of interest or otherwise harm a criminal defendant. It kind of does. But hey, that's their laws, whatever. Defendants have done nothing to establish an actual conflict of interest, nor do they shown that in handling of the case, District Attorney Willis or Special Prosecutor Wade had acted out of any personal or financial motivation. How about paying your boyfriend 2 times the wage of the next prosecutor in the team? I don't. That's not like a conflict, and that's not like financial motivation to me. There's a political motivation. I know you're a Democrat. I know he's a Democrat, and we know how much Democrats hate Trump. Trump responded to the news by posting on social media, Fani Willis, the DA of Fulton County, just admitted to having a sexual relationship with the prosecutor she, in consultation with the White House and DOJ, appointed to get Donald Trump. Yes, there's videos of her saying, her getting so hyped about, I'm going to get Donald Trump. I think she ran on that. By going after the most high-level person and the Republican nominee, she was able to get her lover much more money, almost $1 million. Then she would be able to get for the prosecution of any other person or individual, he continued. That means this is a scam and totally discredited and over. Willis argued that the defendant in the case, who was seeking to get the case dismissed because of her relationship with Wade, offered no support for their insistence that the exercise of any prosecutorial discretion, i.e. any charges, charging decisions or plea recommendation in this case was impacted by the personal relationship. Without these additional factors, the existence of a relationship between the members of the prosecution team in and of itself is simply not a status that entails a criminal defendant any remedy, she said in court filings. The filings contain a sworn affidavit from Wade after the relationship about the relationship between the two. While professional associates and friends since 2019, there was no personal relationship between District Attorney Willis and me prior to our time at the time of my appointment as a special prosecutor in 2021. He said in 2022, District Attorney Willis and I developed a personal relationship. So they have the timelines kind of figured out. But honestly, I think this should be like dropped at this point. But hey, who knows, right? And then I want to kind of focus on, Biden. Right, we're going to talk about Biden because remember we're talking about a two-tier justice system here, right? So I wanted you guys to watch this video real quick. It's almost a minute.
2024 election is entirely different than previous U.S. presidential elections, and that we are actually not choosing between policy issues like high taxes, defense spending, or school choice.
Yeah, we still are, all right, but it's just now there's a cultural aspect behind it now. But let's hear what she has to say.
No. See, this election has been reduced to a single choice. At least America attempting to still function as a democracy, or
is a republic, but yeah, okay.
America moving full steam ahead on a path towards white, straight, Christian, patriarchal fascism.
Fascism. Fascism. Fascism. Oh. Best president in 3 years, guys. That's according to Karine Jean-Pierre, right? So this is one of the clips I wanted to show you guys. What else does Larry Caldwell expect is going to happen when Biden and Harris goes $1 trillion more into debt every 100 days just so they can throw that money in the air? Debt to GDP ratio. You see the 2000s, 2008, 2016. Damn, Trump spent a lot of money. Look at 2019. You want to see more? Let's see more. This is getting ridiculous, guys. Look at this. 2022. My goodness. Let's hear what they have to say.
My mea culpa, I was wrong about the slowdown in the recession. So was the entire
I don't think you were wrong.
Forecasting fraternity. Well, the Fed, everyone was wrong. Okay. But I was kind of enjoying
So the reason why I don't like the command economy, this is why I don't like the Federal Reserve, is that we're letting like individuals based on their own educated guess decide, oh, interest rates are too high, instead of just letting like the market, like the results of the market be the results of the market. Let everyone set their price. Hey, 10%, 5%, 7%. Not this unilaterally, hey, government said we only can go 4%, 5%, and we only can cut rates if the government allows us to cut rates. This gives too much control to the government. The government essentially has their thumb on the scale on the economy. The government can cause a recession based on what they decide to do, right? And just like I highlighted before, I don't like government being involved in anything is because government suffers no immediate consequence for getting things wrong. When they get wrong, they're like, let's try this. They try this. They end up just throwing ish at the wall and hoping something sticks. And who suffers for it? We do. Here's another thing, because remember, this Miss, what's her name? Ebony Williams. She's talking about fascism. Oh, we got fascism. Okay. How about this? A federal judge, and this is the two tiers justice system topic I kind of want to touch on. A federal judge has thrown out Elon Musk's pay package as CEO. Imagine that. You want to pay yourself. You're owner of a company that you built, blood, sweat, and tears. You made it into $1 trillion company. And some person, some bureaucrat in the government that never had no real work to ever done. All they know how to do is police other people, tell other people what to do who are more competent than they are, telling you how you should pay yourself, how you should run your business, what you should regulate based on some rationalist theory they have. And they decide, no, it's unfair that Elon Musk makes so much money. Instead, the judge said that Elon should have worked for free the past 5 years. Imagine that. Elon has increased the value of Tesla by more than 10 times since he entered into the pay package. He is, by the country's mile, the most successful CEO in America. And it's impossible to imagine Tesla succeeding as it has without Musk helming it. Tesla shareholders, even when Musk and his brother was excluded, easily approved the pay package. It's increasingly obvious that the U.S. court system only exists to attack political enemies under the guise of justice. And what led me to this? Well, there's a video where, Biden's like, "Oh, do you think Elon Musk is dangerous?" And let's hear his answer. Let's see if I can get this video up and running. If not, I quit.
Think Elon Musk is a threat to U.S. national security, and should the U.S. and with the tools you have investigate his joint acquisition of Twitter with foreign governments, which include the Saudis?
And here's my thing. What the hell the government has to do with what a person is doing with their company? You didn't help create it. And this is what I'm saying. We're slowly going to becoming like, these people are starting to act like they're socialists or something. This is government overreach at its finest level, in my view anyway. Let's continue.
I think that Elon Musk's cooperation and/or technical relationships with other countries is worthy of being looked at. Whether or not he is doing anything inappropriate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that worth being looked at. But that's all I'll say.
Do you think
That was
Elon Musk?
That was almost. No, that's a year ago actually. But you get the point, right? So this was 2022, and then this happened with a federal judge in 2024. Inquiring minds want to know, right? Was this planned? And one of the funny parts about all this too is that for the longest, the left was like, oh, we just want people to live their lives, do what they want. Private companies can do whatever they want. Elon Musk was their golden child. I remember in 2017, 18, all the liberals wanted a Tesla. The minute the man went he's not even fully on the right. He just more in the middle. They don't want nothing to do with the guy. They boycotting his companies. They want to go to Rivian now because the Tesla's for far-right extremists. Right? Capitol Police says no charges for Dem staffer who allegedly filmed gay sex in Senate office building. Wow. Right? But violent protesters tore apart dozens of statues, including Columbus, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. None were held accountable or charged with a hate crime. Michael Cassidy, I think that's how you say it, knocked over a Satan statue made out of household items and gets charged with a hate crime. Welcome to America's two-tiered justice system. The police state made it clear who they worship. Wokeness and Satanism is the new religion. Right? No charges. Vandalize all this historical. This is like American history stuff. No, nothing. Men behead Satan statue. Hate crime. See, I wouldn't be mad about him being charged with a hate crime if the application of the hate crime stuff was consistent. If someone vandalized George Floyd thing and they got hit with a hate crime, and then when someone destroyed Thomas Jefferson statue, George Washington statue, they get hit with a hate crime. Hey, I'm all for it. I said, okay, justice systems is equally applied. But you ain't going to sit here, tell me, oh, this person is a hate crime. This is a hate crime. And we seen the disparities and we see how you applying the law. Something you didn't hit Hillary Clinton with, you want to hit Donald Trump with. And this is, since the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, I've been very skeptical about the American legal system now. Right? The Angie Carroll woman. Oh, don't forget about her. Let me look back in my bookmarks real quick. Let's see if we can put up a video of her. Right? Pro-life. It's crazy. This is crazy. Assuming that, okay, never mind. I can't find the video. But pro-lifers, look here. You can burn down Minneapolis to the ground. You can harass Justice Thomas outside his house. You can try to tear down the fence outside the White House. But don't you dare pray outside an abortion clinic. Right? Pro-lifers here. This is how pro-lifers protest. How you think pro-choice people were protesting? Making loud, screaming, hitting people, fighting, in your face, confrontational, aggressive, no charges. This, singing and praying in front of an abortion clinic, you broken the law. We got to charge you. This is incredible. The U.S. attorney prosecuting pro-life activists who were just convicted, sorry, I can't read today, guys, faces 11 years in prison for peacefully protesting. This is not fiery at all. They were singing, harmonizing, quiet, peaceful protesting. Outside of a clinic, actually argued in court that there's no such thing as a nonviolent crime. Meanwhile, the Biden administration, look at this. It's a sixth pro-lifer. She said that something is not peaceful if laws are broken. This is the state of our justice system today. Right? Conservatives are slowly starting losing trust in police a little bit because people are seeing it as, yo, you are going along with this injustice. Right? As we come into the end of the stream, I want to highlight, one of my favorite politicians that, I showed you guys about. And this is where the libertarian streak of minds come out a lot, is a question that this poster asks, and I kind of want to ask on this live stream too, and maybe you guys can tell me in the chat or in the comment section if you're watching this on a replay. What if our foreign policy was deeply flawed the entire time? You see World War III, the possibility of it coming about, right? Iran, the threat of nuclear war, Lindsey Graham want us to hit Iraq. All this stuff, and I'm like, yo, where did all this stem from? Are we trying to correct the problem that we started? We started the fire, and we're gonna come around and be like, oh, we have the water because it helps fuel our military industrial complex. We help create the wars. The war destroy the infrastructure, the buildings there. Then we fund the reconstruction of it, and now we own part of the land. This game of government interventionism, this game of globalism, I think we're not for it. I think we need to get back to focusing on our own priorities, our own interest, and aligning with something that is in our benefit. I'm done with this altruistic humanitarianism that a lot of these politicians like to fake online to mask their underlying self-interest. Nikki Haley pretending that she cares about we need to prevent war, but the only way we can prevent war is through strength, knowing damn well underneath that she has a financial and a financial benefit for doing that, a political benefit, personal political benefit for going into war. All the military stocks will go up if that happens. And she's like, oh, let me put my money in the military stock. Okay, we're going to advocate for war. All this conflict of interest is not good for our country, and it only puts the American people at risk. Because if we do go into a world war, who going to fight it? Ain't going to be Nikki Haley. Ain't going to be none of these people in the leadership class. Lindsey Graham got nothing to worry about. He got no children. He got no grandkids. He don't got, like, he essentially living for himself. Old single man, I think. No kids. So he had nothing to worry about. He can laissez-faire. Let's go into war, because he don't pay a personal consequence for these bad decisions. And this is one of my number one arguments. The government suffered no consequence for getting things wrong. I digress. Let's get into the video.
What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous? What if propping up repressive regimes in the Middle East endangers both the United States and Israel? What if occupying countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and bombing Pakistan is directly related to the hatred directed toward us? What if someday it don't?
Yeah, so it's like we're seen as occupiers. Oh, you come in here, you rule the world, and then minute we leave, it goes right back to where it was before. We wasted money, resources, just so it could return back to the same state that it was before we got there. Except we spent $3 billion more, whatever, how much more money that we spent on these wars. We pull out of Afghanistan, discombobulated, leaving weapons there. We spent good taxpayer money on it. Now these guys got it for free, and then traces of those weapons were found at Israel. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is what happens when your leadership class is not actually representing your best interest. They're representing their own and some global national organization's interest. And I think one of the first things as American voters that we should start demanding is loyalty to America. Maybe we should put those norms back. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic for which it stands. One nation under God. Indivisible. Right now we're divisible because everyone's doing their own thing. We got multiculturalism in American society. It's like one problem at a time. And I think the biggest problem that, like, from a cultural perspective, if you had to ask me, Kenny, what is one problem that you think is the most detrimental right now in American society? I'll say it's education. National unity. That's why I like Vivek. Vivek was hitting on a lot of those things that I saw as the core problem and issue in our country. Present and future. The future is we need to get a rein in on the education system and start teaching good ideas. Ideas that actually withstand the test of time. Not these bad, raunchy, dumb ideas. Women can work until perpetuity. Women put family second. When there's studies after studies that come out saying that liberal women are the least happiest people in America. Who's more likely to be a feminist? Liberal women. Who's more likely to put their career over their family? Liberal women. Least happiest. So, hey, future women, hey, when you're 18 years old, you got a decision to make, young lady. You're either going to be focused about your family, because you could always find a career after your family. After you find your guy, after you have your family, you can have a career after. Or you can go the career route. But make sure you know what you want. Make sure you know your goals when you go into this dating market. Because if you go into dating just having fun, you're going to be wasting time. My biggest analogy for women, and this is, if I ever have a daughter, this is what I would tell her. I say dating for you is like driving a car with gas. You want to get one refill, aka you want to get one life. And if you drive your car without any direction, all you're doing is wasting gas. This is how a lot of modern women are dating today. This is the reality. But guess what? They were taught that. Why? Because in our culture, we teach young people that they have all the time in the world. Oh, you're young. You don't need to figure out your life. There's no expectation. There's no demand. There's no responsibility on young people. But then when life forced them to have responsibilities, they crumble under the stress because they never were taught to deal with a responsibility, accountability. This is why a lot of women, it's like we stuck in a Peter Pan syndrome. That's why I think a lot of young people go to college too, to delay adulthood. And then they give it weird names like adulting. I'm adulting. It's called growing up. You were already an adult when you turn 18 years old. High school is supposed to train you to deal with adulthood. But we lost that as a society. All just because of bad ideas. And then, so my final part of the story. So I made a, let me take this back. So I made a bold claim, not a bold claim, but I made a video about, not a video, but I was bragging about how conservative parents actually raise better kids than liberal parents, right? And some of the reasons I said that was because of social media. Conservative parents tend to not like gentle parenting. A lot of teachers are complaining about how undisciplined, how these kids lack respect for authority. And I'm like, not in a conservative house, they don't. And social media is one of the biggest problems in parenting modern children today, is because social media has a lot of influence on the minds of young children. And conservative parents are the only parents that I know, based on political ideology anyway, that restricts or completely denies access to the internet to these young minds. And it shows, there's study after studies that show that social media has a negative effect on young people, especially young girls. And Mark Zuckerberg decided to apologize to America for it. Let's get into the video.
Of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who
these
did you
different
fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's...
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant
I don't
action.
think it's appropriate to talk about like
It's not
individual
appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone, and you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Hey, so here's one thing too that I also noticed. I remember there was a video or a meme of Zuck. He doesn't like do the metaverse, and they're like, and it's a meme I saw somewhere, and it said the drug dealer doesn't get high on his own supply, and that hit me. I'm like, yeah, like these rich people, they don't put these phones in front of their own kids. Cardi B don't let her daughters listen to her own song. It's a famous clip. I'm sure everyone has seen it or at least remember seeing it. Cardi B was on a live or something, dancing to WAP, whatever it was, WAP, whatever. And the minute her daughter came in, she turned that shit quick as hell. Oh, to me, that's a sign. Oh, if you don't let your kids listen to that, I ain't letting my kids listen to your music, and you're the one who wrote it. Imagine that. That's like me saying, like, let's say I'm talking, right? And my son say he wants to watch my content, and I'm like, no, don't watch my content. Oh, Kenny, you don't let your son watch your content, but you expect us to watch your content? That's a sign. That's a signal. And this is essentially what a lot of these rich technocrats do. The Silicon Valley tech billionaires, this is what they do. They restrict their kids from accessing the social media and all this stuff because they're aware of all the dangers and negative effects it has on the psyche of young people. And one of the reasons why I believe, and I'm about to get more into it after a few more minutes of this clip, is the study of why conservative parents raise more mentally stable children. This is one of the reasons why. So all the cope from liberals saying, no, that's not true. It just so happened. No. Because as conservative parents, we're more active in denying our kids access to stuff. We don't think our kids are our friends. We don't think our kids are our partners. We don't think our kids are our equals. We say, hey, there's a hierarchy here. I'm responsible for you, so you better listen to me because without me, you can't take care of yourself right now. And I'm trying to guide you into this world so you listen, respect my authority, and I can guide you to a better path until you can guide yourself, until you get to a position where you're responsible completely for yourself. But until then, I'm responsible for you. And if I'm responsible for you, that means I have authority over you and you must listen to my authority. Kids understand it. Okay. Dad laying down the law. Yes, sir. No, sir. And the results speak for itself. That's it. Because that's all I'm going for. I'm going for the results. Conservative kids, they don't deal with this stuff because conservative parents restrict access to the social media. And even if a conservative allow their kids on social media, it's usually there's a time restriction. Hey, you can't be spending 8 hours a day on social media like the average kid on TikTok. I think the average time on TikTok is 5 hours. Girls love to be on TikTok. They clock 1 hour more time on TikTok than men do. And they wonder why our kids are so depressed. Why we have such a mental health pandemic. Why young girls want transgender surgery. Because they're exposed to this nonsense. They're exposed to ideas and concepts that they're not mentally prepared for. And now they're trying to do the same thing in schools. That's another thing conservative parents are trying to protect their kids from. These public schools. Oh, we don't like these things you trying to push on our kids. Nah. Homeschool. Honey, we're going to make the sacrifice. Homeschool. Conservative parents are willing to go there. Liberal parents are not. They're like, oh, that's not happening. The liberal parents are falling into normacy bias. Oh, that's not happening. You're exaggerating. What? They're teaching men can be women and women can be men. Oh man, where you got that cook up story? Fox News. And then when their kid comes, blue hair and all, saying, "Mom, I'm a two-spirited." What's that? And not to hurt her feelings, you play along with it, enable their behavior, and then you go down a path where they make a permanent decision, all because of social media.
Sorry? Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help
Senator,
with counseling services, help with dealing with the issues that your services caused?
Our job.
Now, so one thing I'll disagree here with Josh Hawley here is that this is not Zucker's fault. I know. I've been railing on him, but this is not his fault. Because at the end of the day, to me, this is the parents' responsibility. It's the parents' responsibility to protect their children. Not some corporate billionaire that don't even know your kid's first name. He don't even know what your kid look like. And we're going to hold him accountable for that? Now, he has a part to play. Yes, it's a two-part problem, right? But I'm looking at the parents because the parents have the direct access. The kid would never have the phone if the parent didn't pay for the phone. A kid, like, name me a kid that can have something without his parents' consent, without his parents knowing. Yeah, maybe a friend of a friend gave him a phone and they sneak use it. But end of the day, the parents are in charge of the household. They're responsible for everything that comes in the household and what they give to their children. If the parents want no internet at our house, how the kid's gonna function? Then they get exposed to this. Doctor tells 11-year-old girl she is in a perfect place to be taking puberty blockers to become trans. Should this doctor be sent to prison for child abuse? They get all these ideas, right? Studies came out that puberty blockers are not reversible. They cause a substantial amount of side effects, and they're still pushing this stuff. Who's more likely to let their kids do this? Liberal parents. And then, the results come in. Kids who do their transgender, whatever, who go through the gender affirming care, whatever, however they want to dress up what they're actually doing, which is chemically castrating children, chemically castrating their future generations. This is liberal parents for you. And then even after they chemically castrate their kids, the child grows up and still is fighting mental disorders, depression, still dissatisfied with their life, still have a high risk of being suicidal. And on top of that, they made a decision that they can never take back. All because of it's trendy. There's studies showing that this is a social contagion because the places with the most transgender kids are usually the most liberal places. And then the liberals are going to get mad when studies come out and says children of conservative parents at much lower risk for mental health issues. And they're surprised. What? How can this be? All the parenting books that liberals love to write out. This is my problem. This is how bad ideas get spread out into our culture. We let the least qualified people speak on subjects that they're the worst at. Imagine me trying to teach LeBron James how to play basketball. I'm not a four-time world champion, NBA champion. I never won an MVP in my life. But imagine me writing a book about basketball, how to become successful at basketball, and I'm trying to sell it to LeBron James. How should that go? I should be laughed out of the room, laughed out of the stadium. You trying to tell LeBron James how to be a better basketball player? Ha! But this is what we let liberal parents do. They raise kids with higher risk of mental health issues, right? We let them weigh in on social issues about our children when conservative parents also create more children. Most kids are raised by conservative parents. Conservatives have two 2.5 kids, while liberals have 1.5 kid. We have a whole kid more than them. Most kids are being raised by conservative parents, yet we letting the parents of the minority amount of kids trying to sit here and debate us and tell us how to raise our kids. But look at the results. Let's get into the study before I wrap up the stream. According to a new report, children raised by conservative parents are significantly more likely to have a stronger relationship with their parents at a much lower risk of developing mental health disorders than children raised by liberal parents. While the study does not make the case that political ideology itself leads to much better outcomes for children, it does find a strong correlation between conservative political views and successful parenting strategies. The nonpartisan report, which is important, which was released late last month, is a joint project of the Brooks Institute, Gallup's, and the Institute of Family Studies. As Jonathan Rothwell, the study's principal author, notes, prior research on what factors influence adolescent mental health outcomes have been completely ignored. Parenting styles and the parent-child relationship, which Rothwell argued is the most important influence on whether a kid will have a mental health challenge or not. Right? The social media, spending time on social media. Like, I could take what I do for an example, right? I have more liberal like friends and parents that I know, and they don't value family time at the same way that I do, right? I like to read to my son, right? I like to take time. I like to go on walks. I like to play sports with him. It's like personal, real time. And I leave the phone behind. On weekends, I make it. I don't know if you guys ever notice, but on weekends, I never respond to any comments on my YouTube channel, on my Rumble, nothing. Because on the weekends, that's time just for my family. And I think I don't know, is this the mentality of most conservatives? And I believe it is ideological, because conservatives are taught to draw boundaries. Hey, I'm trying to preserve what? My culture, my traditions, my values to what? My children. And how can you do that? What's the best way you can do that? Spending time with your children. Having your children model and emulate the positive behaviors you display. Holding yourself accountable to a higher standard because you know you're an example to your children. Not like these liberal parents who want to be friends with their kid, who want to cater to their kid's emotional need. They don't want to make their kid feel bad. And this is how you raise weak and fragile people. And then when hard times hit, because as a conservative parent, my philosophy is it's better to raise strong children than to fix broken people. I'm going to say that again. It's better to raise strong children than to fix broken people. I pray for the strength to endure a hard life. And that's what I pass on to my son and my family. You don't pray for an easy life, son. You pray for the strength to endure a hard one. That is the philosophy of every conservative parent, whether they're able to articulate it like I did or they do it through their parenting. And I think that's what authoritative parenting do. Gentle parenting, all it does is coddle your kid's feelings. Your kid does something wrong. Oh, I don't want to hurt you. No. Me, when my kid does something wrong, I make him feel ashamed for what he did. I can say, hey, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable behavior. This is not how you carry yourself in society, son. And this is wrong. Here's the consequence. Time out. And my son understands, oh, I did something wrong. I'm not shouldn't be doing that. And this is why I believe the tendencies, and I told you some of the political inclinations of conservative parents, they protect their kids from a lot of stuff that will traumatize their children. And being exposed to LGBTQ content at the age of 6 is some of the most traumatizing thing that you can do to a child. But do you think liberal parents will listen? No. Okay. Hold that L. You do that to your kid. Don't cross the boundaries here. Because this is what conservatives, one thing about conservatives, we have lines. You cross it, hey, don't get mad at us when we react. Because that's the problem with a lot of liberals. They like to be provocative. They like to prod and poke. And when they finally poke their conservative and the conservative react, that's when they want to sit back and cry. They want to play victim. Because one thing conservatives don't play, they don't play with their kids. I'm a young father. I'm 27 years old. But hey, I don't play. My boundaries are very strong. I have a line. You do not cross it. Respectfully. But hey, let's continue with the article. Very conservative parents on average enjoy strong relationship with their adolescent children, and liberal parents experience the worst, Roswell writes. Conservative parents are 8% more likely to be in a good relationship with their adolescent child than liberal parents. And the gap is 14 percentage points between very conservative and liberal parents. So on the extreme ends of the parenting style and political ideology, the disparity increases. As a result, adolescents with very conservative parents are 16 to 17 percentage points more likely to be in good or excellent mental health compared to their parents with very liberal parents. And I always seen liberals, they always write this article about how our parents traumatized us and how we will not do the same to our children. And I think the biggest way you traumatize your children is by considering them like adults, right? By not caring about them. Right? This is why a lot of their kids act out. Not having any expectation on your kids. Then your kids be, little Johnny's just on his phone. iPad kids. I don't like my kid don't have an iPad. My kid don't have any technology that's from him. He shares it with me or my wife. And we monitor that thing like a hawk. I remember when my kid accidentally went on Disney Plus and he watched the Proud Family's Woke episode. I was pissed. I deleted it that day. I think the difference between liberals and conservative points, I think the biggest one is how seriously a lot of conservatives take parenting their children, passing on their values, right? Oh, you're sheltering your kids from things that you don't like. So he's my kid. He can learn that on his own time. But when he's in my house, he's learning what got me here. And the results speak for itself. When the results speak for itself, then liberals, you can come to the table with your opinion. For now, a lot of y'all don't got a leg to stand on. Yeah, look, and anyway, it's not like most parents are bad parents. Still, look, only 55% of adolescent liberal parents report good or excellent mental health compared to 77%. So it's not like liberal parents are doing bad. It's just conservative parents are doing it better, at least in this regard. I'm sure there's trade-offs too. My parents don't let me do whatever I want, but I think that's a good thing. I think it teaches kids discipline. The test methodology took into account both the parent's opinion of their relationship with their children and the child's opinion of their relationship with their parent. Notably, this relationship between conservatism and parent remains significant even after controlling for an extensive list of parenting demographics and socioeconomic measures. As Roswell explains, a conservative parent are much more likely to employ more effective parenting strategies than liberal parents. Me being anti-gentle parenting and liberal parents tending to be more pro-gentle parenting, don't at me, including being able to effectively discipline their children while also displaying affection and responding to their needs. And that's something I need to work on, but I got my wife to balance me out. So yeah, we still good. The study also found that conservative parents more likely to value their own marriage, and that leads to a better relationship with their children. Values. Caring, right? And I just did a video today about meaning in life. Like, what is the meaning of life? Religion helped facilitate a lot of things that is the result of that is conducive to human prosperity. And I think this is why religion is actually a force for good in our society, not evil. In particular, when they become teenagers, unsurprisingly, children whose parents have a strong marriage are far less likely to experience mental health issues. Who's more likely to divorce, a liberal couple or a conservative couple? Traditional marriages tend to stay longer than more modern and liberal marriages. And I think that's just the inconvenient truth. I've been on this. I went 22 minutes over. I hope you guys appreciate that. I'll probably leave all the links that I show in the description below. But I'm kind of feeling kind of tired. It's about to be 8:30. I've been holding you guys long enough. I hope you guys found this video insightful. I hope you guys have a good weekend, a great weekend. And I'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Peace out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on next week's episode of Live with Kenny. See you guys. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.